everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. I'm here for the next video in the How to Make a Junk Journal from Start to Finish video series that I'm doing. And I'm going to attempt to do a little bit more sewing today, but I did have to put my camera back where it belongs, and I was up until 11 last night rearranging my craft room and getting it neater again, and I just had to get that camera back. So it's going to be a little bit of a funky angle, but I think you're going to be able to see what you need to see. So even though we're doing a little bit more sewing today, if you don't have a sewing machine or you just don't like to sew, that's perfectly cool. You can use adhesives, and I'll show you how to do that too. I am going to be using supplies from the kit that's in my shop, the junk journal kit. This is only a few of them because I've been digging through them, and I'm going to show everybody how to use all the goodies in here. It's a fantastic kit, and thank you all so much for the great response I had with these kits. It totally encouraged me to make another one for you all soon. But anyway, you don't have to have the kit. Hey, sorry, my dog's barking. Quiet. Shh. Quiet. Sorry about that, guys. You don't have to have the kit. Use your own supplies. Oh, let me get her. Come. Come. Come here. We adopted her, and she's kind of disobedient at times, so sorry about that. Anyway, one of the things we're going to be making today is this pocket. We're going to sew that and make a few other things too if we have time. So let's go ahead. Let me show you. So far, again, I'll link the videos down below so that you can follow along. I'm doing this series in the order of how I work when I'm doing a junk journal. So you can do them in order and follow along with me, or do them in whatever order you prefer. Doesn't really matter, but I am showing you my process from start to finish. So the first thing that we did was we made the covers, and all we did was cover them. We haven't done anything with these so far, obviously. I usually kind of do this at the very end when I'm done making all my embellishments and my pages, but I absolutely am in love with this technique. The Canvas Corp included some items in the kit, including this canvas and also some rub-ons. So this is an actual rub-on that's on top of the canvas, and we're going to be doing a little bit more of that too. So we did the covers. I did some sewing onto, then the second thing I showed you how a quick, easy way to make coffee stained paper in 5 minutes, and it looks really cool like this with all kinds of texture and neat things on it. But we did a little bit of sewing of ribbon in the previous class, as well as then I had another class where we sewed a bunch of tags. I show you five different tags, and today we're doing a little more sewing. And then the next step is I'll start probably doing some stamping and some using stencils, and then we'll get into actually the details of embellishing too. That's usually my process. So let me show you how I made this. This goes in the journal, and it opens up and has a nice pocket. For this, you will need one piece of 8.5 by 11 scrapbook paper. There is scrapbook paper in the kit. However, a lot of that is not double-sided. You need double-sided paper for this, so run to your scraps and get one sheet. I really like the Tim Holtz paper for this technique, because the back side always matches so well with the front side, and you know, I just think this looks just fabulous. So that's what I used for this. Here's another piece of Tim Holtz that I cut down. It's kind of similar. It has the stripes on the back. I like that too. To see how nice that is with the stripes on this. But you don't have to have stripes. You can have anything. Graphic 45 too, the front and the back look really nice, but I find that Graphic 45 lately, well, for a long time now, for the past year or so, has been feathering when I fold it. I'm not happy with that. So the Tim Holtz is good heavy cardstock and seems to work well for this. So I cut this down by 11 inches wide by 8.5 because the journal that we're making, where'd my cover go? The journal that we're making is 5.5 by 5.5 by 8.5. Okay, so this paper obviously is the height of my book and 2 times the width, in case you're not making this same size. Okay, so the height of the book and 2 times the width. And it's really important how you orient your paper as well. So it's going to fold in half. You're going to be folding it this way and putting it in the book this way. So make sure that you don't cut 11 inches this way and then your paper is going to be all wonky. Okay, so it's important that it's 11 inches this way by 8.5. Now I do like to use my scoreboard, but you don't have to have a scoreboard. I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to score at 5 1/4 and 9 inches. If you don't have a scoreboard, that's perfectly okay. Just fold your paper in half and crease it down and then fold it over at about 2 inches. This is about 2 inches wide. Okay, so that's all you have to do. You don't have to have a lot of fancy gadgets to do junk journals. That's the fun of it, right? That's what we love about it. Okay, and then I like to take my circle punch and just cut a half circle. Sorry if my head was just in there. Cut a half circle. Okay. And then I like to sew it down. So I sew 3 sides, here, here, and here. You can also sew up this side, but you don't have to because that's where your paper is folding. And I don't want to do that today because I want a little bit of a deeper pocket. If you do sew down this end, you're going to have just a smaller space for a tuck spot. That's okay. It becomes a tuck spot instead of an actual pocket, but I want a pocket today. Okay, so I'm going to try to move my sewing machine over here and change the view. Okay. So you see, you're looking at the back side of my sewing machine. I'm going to be sewing this way. That's really the best I could do today, guys. I hope that this is going to work for you. I think you'll still be able to see what I'm doing. Today I do have green thread, a deep forest green thread in my needle, and green in the bobbin. Usually I have a dark brown or some other color in the bobbin because I do like having the two-tone, so it ends up being green on one side and brown on the other when you close the page. But I just happen to have it set up like this today. Sewing on paper is a little different because you can't, let's see, I'm also standing, so it's hard to sew like this. You can't always, we can't do it this way because see, the paper doesn't fit in here. So I'm going to start, we're going to have to do one side and then 2 sides. We'll have to do one side and then take it out and do 2 sides, and that's okay. I'm also using a zigzag stitch, and I've told you in a previous video that make sure that your stitches are very wide, because when you're sewing on paper, if you sew narrow stitches, all it's going to do is tear your paper and the thread's just going to pull right out. So I have it on zigzag and a wider stitch. blade's getting dull on the back there. Okay. So I sewed one side. Oh, backwards. I'm looking in the camera. I sewed one side. Now I'm going to put the paper in and sew down this side and across there. Now I can do two sides. Something going wrong with my needle here. Give me 1 second, please. There we go. Okay, let me move this and change the camera view again. No barking, Lily. She never listens to me. Okay, shh. Quiet. Okay, so here's what we made. Let me turn it around this way. Cut some of these strings off. Where'd my scissors go? My desk is all rearranged. I'll have to do that later. I can't find my scissors. Anyway, so here we go. And so let me show you how this might look in a junk journal. Let's see. I think this is my Paris book, and I think that this has one of those in here. Let's see. Where are you? Here we go. No, yeah. Well, here's one side. Here's one side. Let's find the other side. And here's the other side. So I've got a bunch of papers on top of it, and here's the other side. Isn't that pretty? See? And then you've got the nice sewing on this side too. Okay, so that's kind of how you do it. Looks messy right now with the strings hanging off. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you is, let's go into the big part of the kit where the paper is, and just pick out one of the scrap papers that you like. Okay, and I'm going to cut off, move that. Oh, found my scissors. They were under my cutter, my trimmer. I'm going to cut off about, let me see, about a 2-inch strip off of the edge of this paper. It's so pretty. Love this. Okay, and keep this because we will use it. The paper in the kit is already sized down for you, so you don't have to do a lot of trimming. I hope that you like that. I wasn't sure, you know, should I sell all the paper like this, or should I go ahead and fold it in half in the size of the journal? And I figured, well, I'll fold it. So let me know what you think of that. In the next kit, I can leave the papers intact. But what I want to do now is just get any kind of an edge punch that you have. I like this one from EK Success, and it's a fleur-de-lis. And I'm just going to do the edge. I always start upside down because these punches, they drive me crazy. The punch actually starts here, not here. So if you don't turn it upside down, your end is never perfect. And I don't like that. So if I start the first one upside down, I can see exactly where the paper should go. Ugh, this one's not cooperating. I need to resharpen it. There. See, so my edge is perfect because I did the first one upside down. Then the rest of them you can match up with this. And I wish they would fix that. But, oh well. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. What am I doing? I'm recutting what I already cut. Oh, this really does need to be sharpened. I'm sure you already know, but I'll say it anyway. To sharpen your punches, you take a sheet of tin foil and a sheet of wax paper and put them together and then cut all through that combination of papers, and it it sharpens and lubricates your punch at the same time. Okay. So here we go, and I'm going to ink up my edges. And pull out a piece of that tea stain paper, coffee stain paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this on. Let me get off that little, there we go. So you don't always have to use ribbon on the ends of your paper. You can use, if you have a really pretty punch, you can use that too. So I'm going to sew that on. And it'll look like lace on the other side because it's white paper, and that'll be really pretty. So let me move the sewing machine again. And change the camera view. Okay. There's something under here. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm just going to use a straight stitch for this, and I'm going to just stitch down. I should have shown this before I switched. I'm just going to stitch down all along here. I can't do this while looking in the camera. All along here. Okay, just that edge. And then it's going to be a nice tuck spot because this side will be open. So I'm going to use a straight stitch. Let's see. Okay. Forgot to make my stitch wide. There we go. I'm going a little slower on this because I'm not a good sewer, and with the straight stitch sometimes I have a tendency to be all over the place. There we go. Okay. Move this again. This is not the ideal situation, having to move this sewing machine, but that's okay. And just cut this off. Okay. So now we've got a real pretty edge. Isn't that beautiful? And we have a tuck spot. and it kind of looks like lace on the other side. And I really like that. This is a really good use of single-sided papers because you don't mind that the other side is white. If you, actually, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't assume, but if you do mind, go ahead and ink it up too. You can do that. Okay, one more thing that I like to do. If I have a scrap, let me find one. Actually, here, well, I'll use the other side of this blue paper here. Okay. But this is a good technique to do with scraps. And I'm going to cut it down to about 1 3/4 inches wide. Actually, I'm going to do 2 strips. No, I think I want, was that 1 3/4? I don't think I did that right. No, I did 1 1/2. What a dork. I've mentioned it before, this trimmer is not really great for smaller measurements. But that wasn't the trimmer's fault, that was my fault. Okay, 2 strips and what at 1 3/4. And we'll save this piece for later. And then I'm going to cut these both at 5 1/2 inches. And save these for later. Never know what we might use. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this across the top and probably individually across the bottom. And what I'm making, it's a really great way to use the scraps that are left over at the end. And usually I would do this at the end, but I don't want to deal with the sewing machine and camera situation again. And so I sew it like this. See if you can see, okay? And it's just decorative sewing on the bottom. And this can be a cute little bookmark at the top of your junk journal, and you use it as a bookmark. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this. So take your 2 pieces and put them white side down if you're using single-sided paper, or decide what you want to show on the outside. And we're going to sew, first I'm going to sew just individually across the bottom a decorative stitch, and then I'll sew them together. Here we go, last time moving the sewing machine, I promise. Okay. So I'm going to do a decorative stitch. Let's see, number 20 is real pretty. Oops, where'd my pedal go? My pedal is like, hold on, I'm untangling it. It's, I have a standing workstation, so it's kind of half hanging off the ground. This is not an ideal situation, but it's okay. Okay. There's one. It's That's a pretty stitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to sew the end of another. The other, I mean. Come on. Boy, I do need to sharpen that. Let me cut off the extra strings here, just to make sure they don't get caught in my sewing machine. Okay, so now I have, hopefully you can see those. Come on. Okay, so now I have the decorative stitch. There we go. On one end, I'm going to take them and put them together, and then I'm not going to sew here. I'm going to sew them together where there's no sewing. Ooh, it cut off easily that time. I guess it's just all like a flip of the wrist. Let me switch. No more barking, Lily. Oh my goodness. I usually make her sit right behind me so I can control her. Shh. Okay, so there, that's just a quick little bookmark that we can put right at the top of the junk journal. And I really love that stitch. Okay. I'm not going to do this on camera, but one thing I wanted to show you that I like to do as well. In your kit, there is a dictionary page, and it's super old, and it's so fragile. So when the pages are really fragile like this, I like to, maybe I should show how I do this. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I'll show you how I do it. Okay. I'll move the sewing machine one more time. So I'm going to cut this into, this is one of the scraps that I just used. And I'm going to use that section. I'm going to cut it to about the size of a pocket. So this is 5 by 3.5. And then I'm going to cut the dictionary page down to 5 by, yeah, I'm going to do the whole thing, 5 by 3.5. Okay, and so that, oops, I didn't cut it right, but that's okay. So that it's almost the same size as the paper underneath. And let me switch to the sewing machine one more time. Okay, then what I like to do is use a some kind of a fancy stitch. I'm just going to do a zigzag, and I'm going to sew down 2 sides of this of this. I'm going to sew across the bottom and up one side. And my paper moved a little bit. I'm just at such a funny angle that that's okay. Oh, let me switch the camera. Good thing this, whoops, my mouse just fell. Good thing that sewing machine is relatively light. Okay, so I sewed down one side and across the bottom. And then what I'd like to do is actually just take and tear the dictionary page. And then it just makes, the light doesn't look real great there. It just makes a little bit of a vintagey, gives it a little bit more of a vintagey look. And the camera's not picking it up, but there's some words here, so you can see that there's paper on there. And then ink it up, and it makes a really nice pocket. I like to do this with vintage paper that I know is going to tear anyway. So what we'll do is in the junk journal, we'll glue it on 3 sides, and then we'll have this as a pocket. Okay? Let's see. Here's another one that I made, that I did that technique with. Okay. So let's see. I think that's it for today, guys. I encourage you to make a bunch of this stuff and to get ready for the next step. If you want to try to keep up, or if you want to do things sequentially in order, make a bunch of these and then watch the next video when I get it uploaded. I'm trying to get a bunch out this week. We made that. We made this. That's kind of a nice tuck spot. And we made this, and since I found my scissors, I can cut all these strings off with the Tim Holtz paper. And here's one that I made off camera. I can't remember if I showed you this or not. I think I did, yeah. So there we go. Here's a bunch of things that you can make that will be sticking in the junk journal later. And I think that's about it for today. I'm done moving this sewing machine back and forth. This is my second video today with this sewing machine. So I think I'm done. But this was I really did want to try to show the sewing on camera as best as I could. So I hope you could see it okay. I hope this gave you some really good tips. And if you have any questions, go ahead and get in touch with me. You can hit a comment below. You can go over to my Facebook page, The Scrapologist. And please subscribe so that you don't miss any of the videos in this series. And I also have a series, How to Use Your Scraps. So hopefully I would really appreciate your continued support. You've all been so great, so much good feedback with this kit. I'm running out. I anticipate I'll be out of them soon, but I did throw 9 more in there for you. I worked with Canvas Corp and got some more. So I hope that's good. And okay, I'm just babbling on now. Probably time for me to sign off. I've made too many videos today. So have a wonderful, scrappy day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.